My inspiration comes from everything that I do, really. Things that I see, people that I meet, films that I watch, lyrics that I listen to, everything. Mostly it comes from nicking other people's ideas and then reworking them into something that I think's more original. A lot of the beat poets from America, Allen Ginsberg, who was a lot different to anything that had come before and a lot more radical. He wrote in prose poetry, which is much more I like writing.
You're so racist, Karen. They're allowed to sit here like any other species. I think the correct term, David, is speciesist. I don't care what you call it. A goat is a goat, a dick is a dick, a racist is a racist. You're making a scene again, David. A scene? A scene would involve Marmite me and a load of asbestos rising from his chair only to sit back down again immediately. Shut up, David. Why do you care so much? The kettle was always mine. It's not about the kettle, Karen. We've been arguing about those animals. Fuck it, David. Fuck the fucking kettle. The kettle factory workers have been on strike for 6 months. Kettles were now rationed. The couple have been seeing a marriage counsellor for the last 3 years and really only stayed together because they couldn't decide who would own the kettle after the divorce. 3 law firms and several mediating groups have been used in the dispute, but no resolution could be found. They decided to go on a vacation, but thus far any excuse for an argument had been taken. The wrong brand of Weetabix in the hotel, the unwanted numlock key on David's keyboard, and the haircut of the pool boy who Karen slept with last night. Their conversation continued whilst the polar bear ravaged the diner.
I started writing poetry just before sixth form, 17. I don't have a really specific reason why, I just thought I'd enjoy doing it. It was awful what I wrote, it was really cliche, but I enjoyed doing it. My work has developed from being a lot cringe poetry about how my heart is broken and things like that, to a much more prose poetry and a bit sillier and a bit more whimsical. I use different themes for different things. At the moment I'm writing a collection which is themed around a polar bear and a vulture who live together in New York.
The vulture decided around 10 years ago at the turn of the millennium to start seeing a therapist weekly. He thought it would be debonair, like cocking your wrist when you hold a cigarette or wearing a cravat. In truth, he wanted to have the neurosis that he'd seen all over New York. He wanted to be a troubled playwright. However, he hadn't wrote anything for years. His last piece of work was an advert for a cleaning product he did 10 years ago. He still gets royalties from the company every time the advert is played on YouTube. They always send him a card in the post at Christmas saying how thankful they are for his work. The company, however, was actually protecting itself from the media. They didn't want to get caught in some kind of scandal where they were found to have employed a vulture as their marketing director. The therapist was a small but perfectly round man with a beard that went down to his belt. He always wore a monocle despite protesting his eyesight as first class. In therapy, the vulture would lie down on the couch. The couch was made especially for animal therapy. As this was a form of psychoanalyst treatment, the therapist would sit behind him writing notes on thin yellow law paper, identifying any detail from their speech which might be revealing. Every week, the same conversation would happen like a repeated one-act play. Can you tell me what's bothering you? The vulture said nothing. Can you tell me about your childhood? The vulture said nothing. Can you tell me about your relationships at present? The vulture said nothing. Can you tell me why you are here? The vulture said nothing. Can you please say something I cannot help otherwise? The vulture said nothing. Can you please leave? The vulture said nothing. I would describe my work with whimsical prose / poetry, which is almost flash fiction, and a bit stupid at times.
It's hard to really put a pinpoint where you get your ideas from, but it's like when you start writing, you realise something that inspires you, which you didn't perhaps think it did at the time. You kind of merge those together to make one main experience. I suppose I describe my poetry as being quite anecdotal in kind of a modern way, like incorporating sort of black humour and exploring human emotions in kind of a non-conventional sense. There was Omar and Anhil, spelt angel. posing by the infinity pool with me, their chica, in between scooping chips into clay bowls. The sun bubbling over the horizon, we were smiling, squeezing wedges into bottlenecks and licking the tips of our fingers. Anthill flipped tricks into tyres and then sank below the blurry tide he made, two bugs drifting over like eyes in the back of his head. Past the bobbing buoy, the bay curled round my eye, where white buildings infect the land like bacteria, and boats cast shadows double the length of their masts onto the big-bellied women. Vacant. Omar sat by the edge of the pool, placing 4 coins in the line where the tiles split and the ants make home of his money. "When I'm coming to Inglaterra," he said, scooping a chip. "I'm with the luggage, I think." I think when I started writing poetry, it didn't really seem like it was poetry. It was just me writing, and it was something to do to make me feel better about something or to get my emotions out about something. So it's hard to know when it became the form of poetry, but I suppose over the years and coming to university is when you start to realise what the conventions are. I think more about the form, I think more about the audience, and really take time over picking the particular words and making a lot of effort with metaphor. So I'm splashed on my face off the M40, looking into an empty mirror. Me and a million me's. Change the angle, still not you. So I shake my head, pat my face, zip up my hoodie, fighting the chills in this place. There's only one other guy, asleep. Coffee threatening to fall from his fingers. Breathing like an indicator, tick, tock. Trucker, probably. Long past midnight, long luggage lost, making circles in my mind and you. No, it's the lights. On the road they're like serpents with fireballs in the mouth. Wishing a happy new year to you, and to you too. Just stay awake. Celebrate in the morning glory of what's left behind. They're home now. It's bed now. It's rest now, even for the wicked. WKD team spleen intertwining on tiled floors. Cracks. And bugs circling, scuttle across your face.